Hey guys, welcome to Financial Story Hour, where we dive into relatable financial stories to empower you to change your own. I originally wanted to start off this channel with 4 videos on the basic elements of cash flow, things that we have to understand and get clarity on before we can diagnose any problems or create solutions. However, my wife reminded me that there's a very important step 0 that we really need to address before we can even go into those things. Maria found this out the hard way, so without further ado, it's story time.
I spoke with the coach and felt hopeful about the session I booked. They reassured me I could tackle my credit card debt while still enjoying my family vacation, and I didn't feel judged for having debt. So I booked it. But then I opened my email and saw a survey with questions and a spreadsheet. My heart sank. It asked about my income. I can find that. But also a long list of expenses. I closed my laptop. The thought of tracking my grocery bills, dining out, utilities, and subscriptions was overwhelming. I didn't even know where to start. Honestly, I'm terrified this will prove I'm bad with money. I should probably just cancel the session, right?
Can you relate to Maria? If I asked you how much you spend on a monthly basis, would you be able to give me a number without completely guessing? Of course, some of you will be able to get pretty close, but maybe there's some of you out there that are terrified by the very idea of even beginning to look into your expenses. And that's understandable. I mean, that's a lot of us. I've even heard of people who just refuse to check their bank account because they don't want to see what they think is going to be a horrible mess. Can I let you in on a little secret? That's why we asked for this information. It's actually coaching before coaching begins. Knowing is half the battle. And I'm sure a lot of you have just assumed that, oh, I know I just spend too much, or I just don't make enough. And one or both of those things can be true, but the truth is we don't know until we're able to get into the numbers a little bit, do some analysis, and see where we stand. And we're not, as financial coaches, here to judge your current situation. In fact, we are here to help change and improve that situation. And we talk about changing your story in this channel. And so that's what our goal is. That's what our intent is. And so if you struggle with this, then I want to do a video first and foremost to help give you some encouragement and guidance on how you can actually go about finding this information, because it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be intimidating. You might have to do a little bit of legwork, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So take a deep breath and follow along with me. Hopefully this will give you some idea on how to go about just gathering your information. And I'm actually going to break open the screen here and walk you through it as well. We're going to be using Rocket Money for a lot of this, and that is just because that's what I've used in the past. It has the ability to kind of connect with your banks and see your transactions. You can categorize them. It's really helpful. It's also really helpful for you to see where your recurring expenses are and when they fall. And that's super helpful to know. We'll dive more into that later. This isn't a budgeting video. And I'm not specifically saying you need to use Rocket Money, because there's a lot with similar features. I'm also going to use just a available to everybody online spreadsheet that can give you just an idea of what you need to look for. Now, in my coaching programs, I have more specific spreadsheets and more specific budgeting templates, but for this video, I want to do something that anybody can just use, anybody can reference, and it'll give you a really good idea of how easy it is to actually find this information. Hey guys, thanks for bearing with me. I'm actually recording this at a separate time than the rest of the video, so if I repeat myself, I apologize. But I wanted to show you guys real quick one way that you could go about finding this information. And I obviously can't walk you through finding out, what your pay is. But, I think that most of us have an idea of what hits our bank account every month or on a biweekly basis or whatever it may be. I know that for my job, I have a portal I can log into and see the exact breakdown of my pay stub. Some of you might get an actual physical check. Either way, hopefully that's not too hard for you guys to find a general number. And again, we're not going into budgeting right now, but again, I would just advise, rounding down, keeping that conservative, the income level. But something I found recently, now this is not necessarily what I use, but I wanted to pick something that would be easily accessible to everybody. And it's all kind of gathering the same information. So I thought this was a good way. I recently found out that Nerdwallet actually has a budgeting template you can fill out. There's an online version where it's more of a web-based thing. But I prefer the spreadsheet version. And what it actually does is this takes there's a budgeting philosophy out there called the 50-30-20 budget, and this actually totals that out for you based on the numbers that you put in here. So that's kind of cool. Again, that's not a perfect one size fits all analysis of where you should be, but it's good guidelines, especially if you're just starting out trying to figure out where exactly you are in the process. So I think that's pretty cool. That once you put all those numbers in here, you'll get a breakdown of what percentage is your necessities, wants, and your savings or debt repayment. So I think that's pretty cool. But so first we have to find, okay, what are the numbers we need to get? And again, if you go to a coach, they're probably going to have their own spreadsheet, their own ways of gathering this information. But if you're just trying to do this yourself, this will do. And now that you kind of have a list of what you need to look for, of course, you can just go online or on the app of your banking app. Most banking apps are, pretty decent, and you can look up a lot of this information through there. But what I love is Rocket Money. And again, there are a lot of budgeting apps that do this, but Rocket Money is just one that I've used, and I used to pay for the premium. It's pretty reasonably priced. I think you can pick your own price and go down to as low as $3. But I have stopped paying for the premium because my cash flow system, it's simpler and doesn't need all the complicated every single transaction and categorizing and all that good stuff. But I still use it to kind of keep tabs on expenses that are going up, and or things that have changed. For instance, we'll eventually see a gym membership that has been canceled that won't be reflected yet. But I wanted to go ahead and pull this up. I tried to blur everything that would be maybe sensitive information. I don't know what I'm doing yet, guys. I really don't, but I'm trying. So, what we can do is it's actually pretty cool. So you have a dashboard. It will show you, it'll give you kind of a total of your spend for that month. And you can see all your transactions. This is just the dashboard overview. What it is this is a budgeting program app. Obviously, I'm looking at the website right now, but there is an app that's very good. But what it does is it actually connects to your bank accounts. You can hook up all your credit cards, your bank accounts, all those things, and it kind of keeps it all in one place. So if you do have one place for your high yield savings account, or savings buckets, and you have another account where or another bank where you do kind of your day-to-day transactions, you can have them all in one place, and you can kind of see that in a wider view. So that's what I like about it. Again, this is not sponsored by Rocket Money, and there are other apps that do this. I think the biggest drawback now that I'm not paying for premium is it only kind of syncs every day, whereas if you pay for premium, there are other features, but also it refreshes, kind of constantly. So what I want to do is I want to go down here to actually recurring is a pretty cool little function here. All right, guys, thank you so much for bearing with me. There will be some cuts. This will be a little choppy. because I'm trying to make sure I do everything right with these screen shares. But let's start here on the recurring tab. So if we go over here, first thing we're looking for is rent or mortgage. Obviously after you put your income up here. So for me, I felt weird about showing exactly what my mortgage is, but we can just say um, we squeaked in just before the pandemic. So let's just do around $1,350 for rent. So our homeowners is kind of baked into that. So we don't do that separately. Same thing with property tax. It's all baked in with the mortgage payment. So auto insurance, again on the recurring tab. That is not the auto insurance. There we go. Progressive, $279. So of course, while I would say be conservative and round down with your income, round up with your expenses as a general rule. Now this would be pretty set in stone for the most part. They're not. It's not like an energy bill that's going to change. So let's go ahead and just put 280 here. We won't go through all these, but I just want to give you guys an idea of how you can go about this. Now here is our energy bill. Quick tip on this: we actually have it set up where it does kind of an average. It just smooths out the ups and downs of the energy bill. I should have prepared better to explain this, but anyways, it's something you can do. I can't remember exactly what they call it, but it's where the bill will only really go up no matter, even if one month you use twice as much as the last month. Instead of just an astronomically bigger bill, it'll only be about a 10% difference up or down, and they just kind of roll that into future months. So theoretically, it's just a smoother ride in between winter, where you're using a bunch of heat and you're not using a bunch of AC, and summer, where it's the opposite. So it's just a smoother ride. So this does change. It just doesn't change as radically as it could. But anyway, so I could go down here and find electric bill. What was that? 232. So again, be conservative on these. I would aim higher. Maybe 240. And so on. So you just kind of go back and you're able to look at what you're paying for all of these things. Usually they're pretty easy to find. There's another section where if you just want to get an idea of a single month, now these are all of your fixed. They come out the same day every month. They're roughly the same amount every month. That's what this is. But if you come to transactions, you can select what time frame you want to look at. So I want to do a whole month. Obviously this month isn't over yet, so I'm going to go to last month. And after you get your account set up, one thing you do want to do is go through and categorize. As you see transactions, go through and categorize them. It'll help make this a little bit easier. But you can see I've got some things categorized incorrectly here. Like this should probably be under a bill because it comes out monthly. It is an entertainment. But yeah, that's in the weeds of this. So you can go through, you can actually pick some of these things and categorize them so that if you're looking for something specific, you can come down here and check. So if you go through, for instance, and make sure all of your eating out is marked as either entertainment or dining and drinks, however you want to do it. I prefer fewer categories, so I usually lump that in with entertainment. But say you want to look at all your dining and drinks, you want to go through the transactions, make sure they're all marked properly, and then you can just actually search and see exactly how much in that month you spent on that category, which is pretty cool. and can help you get some of the answers to these other things like groceries. If you know that, okay, Walmart and Aldi, we like to shop at Aldi, is our usually grocery expenses. So we can actually sort and find, I think there's a grocery category, or we can search by those stores, and you can get that total amount to put right here. And again, this is a snapshot of a month. So to get even more accurate, you kind of want to get an average of previous months, but that kind of falls out of the scope of this video. Anyways, I just think this is really cool. You can, and I'm not really going to go into it either, but you can actually set a budget for, you can give yourself parameters. You can do the whole categorizing and say, I want this amount of money for this and this and this. But that all begins with knowing where you are, getting a picture of what all you're spending every month. And a tip, again, hopefully I'll do future videos about what I do personally, but make sure you're factoring in sinking funds, preparing for things that you know are coming, or things that happen so sporadically that it's hard to plan for them. For instance, for me, I think of tires. Tires are not something that I change every month, more like, once a year. I'm shelling out a bunch of money to replace 2 or 4 tires, depending on if we're doing one or both cars. And so just make sure you're factoring things like that in. And then, what are your different savings goals? You can put those here as well. If you have extra payments on other loans, obviously you can put those there, and it'll give you a nice total, and you can see what the percentages end up being. But the bottom line is to not be overwhelmed by the prospect of just gathering this information, because there are tools like Rocket Money where, again, even if you have multiple accounts, even if you have multiple cards, you can actually pretty quickly and easily get all of them in one place. You can organize them, and I haven't done a great job of showing you all the features, but you can see how just a little bit of looking around, it's so easy to get this information that you need, and you can do it quickly. And again, if you go through and make sure all of these transactions are categorized correctly, then it's just a matter of, okay, dining and drinks, entertainment, gifts. Again, this is just a kind of a basic tool, but I wanted you guys to see that, like, once you actually get a list, once you actually know where to go to get this information, it's actually not that hard. And it's really important to be able to sit down and do this, because until you have this data, it's really hard to come up with a plan, or to even know, again, as this whole series is going to be talking about, like, where is the actual issue? Where do I need to actually make changes? Because maybe it's not where you think it is. So I will try to leave links in the description. Again, new with this whole YouTube thing, so hopefully it won't be a problem. But I will try to leave links down in the description below for Rocket Money and this little budgeting tool. Again, you can go into Google and type monthly budget, and you'll get similar things. I thought this was a pretty good, fairly comprehensive list of some of the things to think of. The cool thing about Rocket Money is you can actually go through all your transactions and see, oh yeah, I've got this subscription and this subscription and this subscription that's not specifically listed out here, but you'll be able to find that information, add it, and keep under this other, or maybe there's a subscription one, I can't remember. So yeah, I encourage you to, if you are struggling with just the idea of getting these numbers down, I encourage you, pull up these tools and just get a basic idea of where you stand. What do you spend on a monthly basis, or what do you want to try to spend on a monthly basis? Because you might add everything up and see that your eating out is 20% of your take home pay, and obviously there's some issues with that. So it's just impossible to know until you go through these motions. So I don't want this to be something that scares you. I want this to be something that you find empowering. So I hope I've accomplished that. I hope that with all of my cuts and everything, that this made sense, and that I have not inadvertently revealed any information that could facilitate somebody stealing my identity. That's really my big hope. So I'm putting my neck out there on the line for you guys. So now let's get back to the rest of the video. And there you have it. Don't let this part of the process block you from getting clarity and control. In this case, knowledge really is power. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. And share it with somebody if you want. If you want somebody to walk alongside you as you address some of these financial issues, I would love to talk to you. There's a link in the description where you can sign up for like a 15 to 30-minute phone call with me. We can just talk through and see if my one-on-one coaching program can help you in your circumstances. If it's not, I'd be happy to point out some resources that can help you for free. So I hope you'll consider that. I hope to talk to you soon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, it's never too late to change your story.